Welcome in, everyone. We are jumping straight into today's deep dive, and our mission today is to basically completely reframe
Right.
how you think about danger in the ocean.
Absolutely.
Because today we're looking at this incredibly comprehensive marine biology field guide alongside some really recent, highly detailed global envenomation statistics.
Right, the 2016 data.
Yeah, the 2016 data. And the goal here is to just tear down those cultural myths about what actually makes the marine environment hazardous to us.
It's definitely a necessary reality check.
It really is.
Uh,
Set the baseline here. There's this one statistic in the data that just completely flipped my perspective.
Mhm.
When you imagine the worst case scenario in the ocean, you're almost certainly picturing a massive dorsal fin cutting through the water.
Of course, the classic movie scene.
Right. But the 2016 global death statistics revealed that tiny buzzing mosquitoes and humans ourselves, by the way, kill hundreds of thousands more people annually than the apex marine predators. We're so culturally conditioned to fear.
It's a striking contrast. We have this culturally ingrained image that heavily skews our fear toward these massive, aggressive apex predators.
Yeah.
But when you look at the marine biology data objectively, the reality is entirely different. The ocean's deadliest creatures are very often small.
Surprisingly small.
Exactly. They are visually stunning, incredibly easy to overlook, and they're usually waiting for you not in the deep, dark abyss, but in ankle, knee, or waist-deep water.
And that is the part that really gets under your skin. You think you're perfectly safe just waiting at the edge of the beach, maybe looking for shells,
Right.
but that is precisely where the highest concentration of risk hides. And the source material points out a really important why behind all of this, too. It fundamentally changes the narrative from malice to survival.
Yeah, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the core theme of our source material is that ocean venom is almost universally defensive. It's not aggressive.
They are hunting us.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
We're simply too large to be recognized as prey. What happens is a purely accidental intersection.
It's bad luck.
Right. A foot comes down in the sand, or a hand reaches into a rocky crevice, and the animal reacts to a perceived threat the only way evolution have taught it to.
And these encounters happen mostly in specific areas, right?
Predominantly in high biodiversity hotspots, specifically the warm, tropical coastal waters of northern Australia and the Indo-Pacific.
Because of the food webs.
Exactly.
Okay.
That warm water supports complex food webs, meaning an enormous number of species are packed into the exact same space. So many of them have evolved highly potent venoms just to survive that intense competition.
Okay, let's unpack this, starting with the most venomous marine animal known to science.
The box jelly.
Yeah, it's essentially an invisible assassin called the Australian box jellyfish, or Chironex fleckeri. And for those who haven't encountered one, this is not some tiny, insignificant blob.
No, not this species,
It has this cube-shaped bell that grows to about 30 centimeters across.
which is roughly the size of a basketball.
Yeah. But the truly staggering part is the tentacles. From the four corners of that bell, it trails up to 60 tentacles in total.
15 per corner.
Right, and those can extend roughly 3 meters behind it in the water column. That's about 10 feet.
And the mechanics of those tentacles are just a marvel of biological engineering.
How so?
Well, along those 3-meter appendages are thousands of specialized stinging cells called nematocysts. They operate like microscopic loaded springs.
Just waiting to trigger.
Exactly. When triggered by the slightest physical contact, they fire a barbed thread in microseconds. We are talking about an action that occurs literally faster than human conscious reaction time.
Wow.
And what they deliver is a devastating multi-system cocktail. It contains cardiotoxins, neurotoxins, and dermatonecrotic toxins all at once.
So it's attacking the heart, the nervous system, and literally destroying the skin tissue simultaneously.
All at the same time.
The data shows that a severe envenomation from a box jellyfish can cause full cardiac arrest in under 5 minutes.
It's incredibly fast.
By the time you even process the pain and realize you're in serious trouble, your cardiovascular system is already collapsing. And the environmental factor that makes them so incredibly dangerous is their near invisibility.
Right. You can't see them coming.
They are practically transparent, drifting silently through the shallows, and they swarm the beaches heavily between October and May.
Which is exactly why entire stretches of coastline in Australia are closed or require specialized stinger suits during those months.
You just can't risk it.
But, size is not a reliable indicator of danger in these waters.
Right.
If a 30-centimeter jellyfish is terrifying, the Irukandji jellyfish requires an entirely different level of respect.
Because it's so tiny.
The Irukandji is smaller than a thumbnail. Its bell is under 1 centimeter across.
That is wild.
Yet a sting from this practically microscopic organism triggers a systemic cascade known as Irukandji syndrome.
And the descriptions of Irukandji syndrome in the medical data are just harrowing. Unlike the immediate massive hit of the box jellyfish, this syndrome features a creeping, delayed reaction.
Yeah, you might just feel a tiny pinch.
Exactly. But it takes anywhere from 5 to 40 minutes for the systemic effects to actually set in, and victims experience this overwhelming psychological sense of impending doom.
Accompanied by massive blood pressure spikes that can lead straight to heart failure.
And the pain. The pain in the lower back and abdomen is excruciating. The case studies note that patients frequently describe the abdominal cramping as vastly worse than childbirth.
Even with heavy intravenous morphine, it often barely takes the edge off.
It's just a nightmare scenario.
It is a profound neurological hijacking. And the persistence of these jellyfish is equally fascinating. The source notes that even detached tentacles floating in the water or washed up on the beach sand can still sting you hours or even days later.
That's right. The nematocysts remain active even when they're completely separated from the host animal.
Which is the exact reason why you see bottles of vinegar stationed at intervals along beaches in northern Australia.
Yeah, and we should clarify, pouring vinegar over sting doesn't neutralize the venom that is already circulating in your bloodstream.
No, it doesn't do anything for the pain you're already feeling.
Right. But it rapidly deactivates the unfired stinging cells left on the skin. It stops the tentacle remnants from continuing to pump more toxins into you while you wait for medical transport.
It's a vital piece of rapid response first aid.
Absolutely.
Now, moving from the invisible threats in the water column to the deceivingly beautiful creatures of the substrate, let's look at the blue-ringed octopus.
Oh, man.
This perfectly illustrates how visual beauty in the marine environment is almost always a biological warning sign.
It's really hard to overstate the disproportionate danger of this animal. You have a creature roughly the size of a golf ball,
So small.
commonly hiding in shallow tidal pools. And it is highly charismatic and visually striking, but it carries enough venom to kill 26 human adults.
Just an incredible concentration of lethality in something that easily fits in the palm of your hand.
What makes it so toxic?
It all comes down to a specific compound called tetrodotoxin. To put its potency into perspective for you, tetrodotoxin is roughly 1,000 times more toxic than cyanide.
1,000.
Yes. And the octopus doesn't just isolate this in a primary venom gland. The toxin is distributed throughout all of its tissues.
The attack profile detailed in the source is wild. When the octopus feels threatened, it flashes these brilliant, iridescent blue rings across its body.
It is literally nature's neon sign broadcasting, do not touch.
But because it's so beautiful, humans routinely reach into the tidal pools with their cameras to get a close-up photograph.
Which is the worst thing you could do.
Right. And if it bites you, its parrot-like beak delivers a tiny prick that is practically painless. You might not even realize the skin was broken. But within minutes, victims suffer rapid, progressive paralysis.
And the most harrowing detail from the clinical data is that the victim remains fully conscious as the paralysis takes hold.
That is terrifying.
The toxin systematically shuts down the voluntary muscles, eventually reaching the diaphragm and respiratory muscles. The victim is completely aware that they are suffocating, but they cannot move or speak to signal for help.
And there's no anti-venom, right?
There is currently no anti-venom for tetrodotoxin. Survival relies entirely on immediate, hours-long artificial respiration until the victim's body naturally metabolizes the toxin out of their system.
It's just a chilling scenario. You are trapped in your own body just because you wanted a photo of a pretty shell.
Yeah.
And speaking of beautiful things you should never touch, let's introduce the geography cone snail.
The cigarette snail.
Yeah, locals often refer to it as the cigarette snail, which is a remarkably grim nickname, implying that if it stings you, you have just enough time to smoke one last cigarette before the paralysis sets in.
It features a gorgeous 15-centimeter map-like shell that tourists absolutely love to pick up off the sand reef.
But they really shouldn't.
What's fascinating here is the sheer complexity of its hunting mechanism. The cone snail preys on fast-moving fish.
Which seems impossible for a snail.
Right, being a slow-moving gastropod, it needs a weapon that incapacitates its target instantaneously before the fish can dart out of reach. It has evolved a modified radula tooth that acts as a hollow, venom-injecting harpoon.
The harpoon tooth.
Exactly. When a human picks up the shell, altering its environment, the snail extends its proboscis and fires this harpoon into the hand. And the venom it injects is a staggeringly complex cocktail of over 10,000 different bioactive compounds.
Known as conotoxins.
Yes.
10,000 distinct compounds in a single sting.
That's believable.
The evolutionary arms race required to produce that level of chemical complexity is just difficult to wrap your head around.
It is an evolutionary marvel.
Right.
These conotoxins hit multiple nervous system pathways simultaneously. Some compounds specifically block sodium channels, while others target calcium or potassium channels.
So it's a multi-pronged attack.
Because the venom creates so much systemic redundancy attacking the nervous system from a dozen different angles at once, it renders natural immunity practically impossible.
Wow.
Furthermore, it ensures that no single antivenom can ever be synthesized to counteract it. If you are envenomated, you face the same rapid respiratory paralysis as with the octopus, and treatment is purely supportive mechanical ventilation.
So we have covered the invisible assassins and the deadly beauties. Let's shift to the masters of camouflage.
Always a dangerous category.
I want to introduce you to the most venomous fish in the world, the stonefish.
Yeah.
It earns its name because it perfectly mimics an algae-covered rock.
It really does look exactly like a rock.
It just sits perfectly still on the bottom of the shallow reef, blending seamlessly into the coral and sand.
Which brings us right back to that mechanism of accidental encounters. The stonefish possesses 13 stout dorsal spines along his back.
And they are sharp.
They operate essentially as pressure-activated hypodermic needles. The fish isn't aggressive. It's an ambush predator waiting for small prey to swim overhead. But imagine you are wading in ankle-deep water, just cooling off near the shore. You step on what looks exactly like a piece of coral reef. Your body weight drives those 13 spines deep into the sole of your foot, compressing the venom glands located at the base of each spine and forcing the venom upward into your tissue.
And the source data on the pain response is intense.
It's horrific.
It is widely described as the absolute worst pain known to modern medicine. There are documented cases of victims literally begging doctors to amputate their limbs just to make the agony stop.
It's that bad.
Beyond the pain, the venom causes severe tissue necrosis, meaning the skin and muscle tissue surrounding the puncture wounds actually die and rot away, complicating recovery with massive infection risks.
But there is a silver lining here.
Thankfully, yes. Unlike the cone snail or the blue-ringed octopus, an antivenom does exist for the stonefish. And interestingly, it was developed in Australia using hyperimmunized horses.
That equine-derived antivenom has successfully turned a frequently fatal encounter into a survivable, albeit agonizing medical emergency.
Yeah.
Now, if we connect this to the broader picture of spines used as defense mechanisms, we have to look at the lionfish and the flower urchin.
Oh, the lionfish.
The lionfish is visually stunning, featuring these long, flowing, striped pectoral fins, which are supported by highly venomous spines.
If you are unlucky enough to get stung by a lionfish, there is a highly practical first aid protocol.
Heat.
Right? You immediately submerge the sting in hot water, usually around 43 to 46 degrees Celsius. The heat actually denatures the venom proteins, breaking them down and dramatically reducing the pain before it can spread systemically.
It's a very effective treatment.
But the lionfish represents a completely different kind of danger in the Atlantic, doesn't it?
It does. It is a prime example of an ecological disaster.
Yeah.
While the lionfish is native to the Indo-Pacific, where it has natural predators and parasites keeping its numbers in check, it has been introduced to the Atlantic and Caribbean.
Likely through the exotic pet trade.
Almost certainly. Because they have absolutely no natural predators in these new waters and breed at an astonishing rate, their populations have exploded.
They just took over.
They are voracious, indiscriminate eaters, and the data shows they have reduced native reef fish populations by over 80% in certain heavily invaded areas. They are single-handedly unraveling entire coral reef food webs.
It is a slow-moving catastrophe for those reef systems.
It really is.
And then you have the flower urchin, which just looks bizarre. If you see it on the seafloor, it looks like a lovely, harmless decorative plant or a cluster of coral polyps.
But they aren't flowers.
No. Those flowers are actually modified, colorful pincers called pedicellariae. If you brush your hand or foot against them, those pincers physically clamp onto your skin and inject a paralyzing venom.
It is another perfect example of defense masked as beauty.
Exactly.
Moving from the seafloor back up into the water column, we should discuss sea snakes. Specifically the Dubois sea snake, which possesses the most toxic venom of any sea snake species, and the beaked sea snake.
And the beaked sea snake is the one the statistics show is responsible for the vast majority of actual bites on humans.
Right.
Their venom is incredibly potent because Much like the cone snail, they hunt fast-swimming fish. They need to paralyze their prey instantly before it can dart into a coral crevice and be lost.
So their venom is purely neurotoxic, designed to shut down the nervous system in seconds.
Yes. And there's a crucial, highly dangerous detail about sea snake bites that catches many victims off guard.
The lack of pain.
Exactly. The initial bite is often completely painless, their fangs are very small, and it might just feel like a tiny pinch, or you might not feel the skin break at all.
Which is so dangerous.
This creates a highly dangerous delay in seeking medical treatment. The victim simply doesn't realize they have been envenomated until progressive muscle paralysis, blurred vision, and respiratory failure begin to set in hours later.
It's an incredibly stealthy envenomation.
But to be fair to the sea snakes, they are generally very docile animals. They aren't actively chasing divers around the reef.
No, not at all.
The statistics show that most bites actually happen as occupational hazards for commercial fishers.
Right, they get tangled in the nets.
The snakes get tangled in the large fishing nets, and when the fishers are sorting the catch by hand on the deck, the highly stressed, trapped snake bites in self-defense.
Makes perfect sense.
And strangely enough, if you are swimming in the Atlantic Ocean, you don't have to worry about them at all. They are completely absent from the Atlantic.
It is a fascinating geographical quirk of their evolutionary history. Now, having explored the profound lethality of these highly toxic, relatively small creatures.
It's a bizarre paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have these incredibly potent, venomous animals that barely register on our cultural radar, yet we reserve all of our panic for the giants. So what does this all mean for the apex predators we actually fear? Let's talk about sharks.
The ultimate movie monsters.
Right. The great white, the tiger shark, which the data notes is an opportunistic feeder known to consume almost anything, including ocean garbage, and the bull shark, which has that unique, terrifying physiological ability to tolerate fresh water.
Which means it can swim up rivers.
Hundreds of kilometers up muddy rivers into places humans would never expect to encounter a shark.
Here's the truth bomb the global data provides. Despite their terrifying cinematic reputation, sharks kill only 5 to 10 people globally per year.
5 to 10.
That's it. When bites do occur, there are almost universally cases of mistaken identity. Imagine a surfer paddling on a board, seen from below against the sunlight. That silhouette perfectly mimics a seal or a sea turtle.
The shark's natural prey.
Exactly. The shark takes an investigative bite, realizes the human isn't its natural prey, and leaves. Furthermore, sharks are a vital keystone species.
They keep the ocean healthy.
They regulate the health of the entire marine ecosystem by culling the sick and weak. Yet they're declining rapidly worldwide due to overfishing and finning. And those protective beach nets we install to ease our own psychological fears.
Oh man, that.
They indiscriminately entangle and drown innocent sea turtles, dolphins, and rays, causing massive collateral ecological damage.
The narrative is completely inverted. The creature we make horror franchises about is actually highly vulnerable, essential to the ocean, and barely kills anyone.
Exactly.
But if you want to look at a predator where the fear is statistically justified, let me introduce you to the saltwater crocodile.
Now, this is a true apex predator where the apprehension is entirely warranted.
Yeah.
Saltwater crocodiles can grow to 7 meters in length and weigh well over 1,000 kilograms. They possess a crushing bite force of roughly 3,000 pounds per square inch.
That's like a small car dropping on you.
Basically. And unlike a shark taking an exploratory bite and swimming away, crocodiles are dedicated ambush predators. They lie perfectly still at the water's edge, utilizing murky water to resemble a floating log, and then launch explosive, targeted lunges.
And then the death roll.
Yes. Once they secure their prey, they initiate a devastating death roll to disorient, drown, and dismember the target.
And you aren't just safe because you avoid the rivers. The source notes they can swim incredibly long distances out in the open ocean, riding the surface currents. The fatality numbers for crocodiles completely dwarf the shark statistics.
By a wide margin.
Saltwater crocodiles kill hundreds of people annually across their range.
This really raises an important question about how poorly human beings evaluate environmental risk. Just briefly contextualize this with other animals near the water. Hippos kill around 500 people per year in Africa by aggressively defending their river territories. Or look at electric rays, which can deliver a 200-volt shock to an unwary diver, potentially causing them to drown. The animals that cause the most actual harm are rarely the ones headlining the summer blockbusters.
So let's bring all of this together for you listening. The ultimate takeaway from this deep dive into the data is that danger in the ocean isn't about giant, malicious monsters actively hunting us down in the deep water.
Not at all.
It's about small, highly adapted survivors defending themselves in the exact shallow waters where we like to play. It's about accidental encounters. And the best news is, simple, situational awareness dramatically reduces your risk.
It's really that easy.
Just wearing sturdy water shoes in the shallows, resisting the urge to pick up pretty shells from the reef, and actually respecting local beach warnings and stinger nets that prevents almost all of these nightmare scenarios from ever happening.
That is the perfect synthesis. These creatures aren't evil, a stonefish isn't malicious for utilizing camouflage, and a cone snail isn't wicked for protecting its shell.
Right.
They are merely utilizing the highly specialized evolutionary tools they were given to survive in an incredibly competitive environment. Understanding the mechanics of that survival replaces our irrational fear with a profound, healthy respect for the sheer brilliance of the ocean's biodiversity.
I absolutely love that perspective, replacing cultural fear with biological respect.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over today, building on everything we've discussed about these incredibly complex venoms.
Okay.
We spent this time detailing how the multi-system cocktails of the cone snail, or the box jellyfish, can shut down the human body in minutes. But the incredible twist is that the medical community isn't just studying these venoms to create antivenoms.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Marine biologists and pharmacologists are currently isolating the specific neurotoxins from creatures like the geography cone snail to develop next-generation, completely non-addictive painkillers for humans.
That is amazing.
Nature spent millions of years perfecting these compounds to instantly paradise fish, and now that exact same lethal chemistry holds the potential to revolutionize human medicine and replace opioids. The next time you look at a tranquil tide pool, realize you aren't just looking at a puddle of water, you're looking at a living laboratory containing the most advanced, untapped pharmacological secrets on the planet.